मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथो मद्गुरुः श्री जगद्गुरुः मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा कृपालु गुरवे नमः। कृपालु गुरवे नमः। कृपालु गुरवे नमः। I will sing a short kirtan so that our minds may get settled down and focus on Bhagwan. Radhe 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 Shri Radhe 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 Radhe Shri Radhe Radhe Shri Radhe 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 Shri Radhe 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 Shri Radhe मोहिदासी बना दे श्री राधे मोहिदासी बना दे श्री राधे मेरी लगन लगा दे श्री राधे मेरी लगन लगा दे श्री राधे रस का चस्का लगा दे श्री राधे 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 श्री राधे 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 श्री राधे राधे श्री राधे राधे श्री राधे 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 श्री राधे 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 श्री राधे। राधा रानी महारानी की जय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। I will just go over what we have gone over so far, what I have spoken about so far. We've understood so far from scriptures and from Sri Maharaji that each and every one of us is only looking for happiness. Every individual being is searching only for happiness and nothing else. And if someone says that they're looking for a good family, good friends, lots of wealth, or lots of education, high education, whatever it is that we want it only for the sake of happiness. So it would not be wrong to say that we are searching only for happiness and nothing else. And that happiness we have not found so far, despite having lived uncountable times, and despite coming again and again to this world in the human form of life, and actively searching for happiness, we have not yet found it. Why? Because we have been looking for it in the material world, and the happiness that we are wanting is something which is unlimited, and it's everlasting and ever increasing. Yovai bhuma tat sukham, says Chandogya Upanishad. The Vedas say that happiness that we are seeking is unlimited, first of all. Secondly, everlasting. And number three, it increases with every passing moment. We have certainly not found that happiness in the world simply because it does not exist here. Scriptures tell us that that happiness can only be found in God, and God is, in fact, happiness, another name for happiness. We can say Anand, or happiness, or we can say Brahm, God. They're synonyms. We say Krishna, Ram, we say Bhagwan, Ishwar, Paramatma. We can also say Anand. These are all names of God. So God is happiness, and it's only by knowing God that we can know true happiness, the happiness that we have been desiring. But when we went out in search of God, we found out that God simply cannot be known. We cannot know God. And we became very discouraged, despondent, because if we can't know God, we cannot know happiness. And scriptures told us why it is that we cannot know God. They put forth a lot of logics before us, and we then understood that, yes, it's true. We can't know God. Yasya matam, tasya matam, matam yasya navedasaha, avigyatam vijanatam, vigyatam avijanatam. The Vedas say if you think you can know God, you are the most foolish. And whereas if you understand that God cannot be known, you are the wisest. We cannot know God. Why? Because God is divine, and everything that we have through which we can get to gain the knowledge of something or someone is material. We have material eyes, material ears, material sense organs. We have a material mind. And our senses and our mind cannot grasp God, who is above and beyond materialism, who is divine. Moreover, God is full of contradictions. He is bigger than the biggest, but smaller than the smallest. And at the same time, neither big nor small. We cannot understand him. God is closer than the closest. We live right within him. He lives within us. He lives inside the soul. The soul lives within him, but we cannot yet. He's farther than the farthest. The more you run towards him, the further he gets. He does not ever take birth, but he takes birth countless times. He is Atmaram. He does not need anyone to make him happy. He is happiness himself. But when he descends to earth in the form of Bhagwan Sri Krishna, he's running after the gopis, begging for their love. Bhagwan Ram is crying for Mother Sita, and yet he does not need anyone. There are so many of these contradictions, such contradictions, contained within God that we simply cannot know him. So this is how far we have come so far in this journey, in this spiritual journey, in these Zoom talks. And now I'm going to start with today's talk, and that is, how can we know God? The Vedas and Vedic scriptures tell us that using our personal effort, we cannot know God. But if God were to grace us, we can easily know God. We can know him only through his grace and not through personal effort. Ramayana says, Soi janahi jehi dehu janai, janat tumhi hoi jai. Tumhari hi kripa tumhi Raghunandan, janat bhagat ur chandan. राम कृपा बिनु सुनु खगराई, जानी न जाई राम प्रभुताई. राम कृपा ना सही सब रोगा, जो यही भांति बने संयोगा. At so many different places in the Ramayana, Goswami Tulsidas Ji talks about grace, kripa. The word kripa appears in his scripture so many times. The word dayase, also meaning grace, appears in the Vedas. In Rig Veda, it appears so many times. These scriptures are telling us that we cannot know God through our personal effort, but he can be known only through his grace. Sadhanau ghaira na sangaira labhya suchiradapi. This is a verse from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, in which Rup Goswami Ji says, there is no sadhan. There is no method that you can use. You cannot attain God, through which you can attain God. For instance, if you say, well, I have observed so many fasts in my life and I should be able to know God, you can't. I have taken the prayer beads in my hands. I've done jap, Om Namah Shivaya or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And I've done that hundreds of thousands of times. And I've got blisters on my fingers by doing it. You cannot know God by doing that. You cannot go to the holy rivers and bathe all day long and for months and months. You cannot attain God by doing that. There's no sadhan, there's no method that will, by using which you can know God. But when you give up the ego of your own effort, and then you cry out to God that, Bhagwan, I cannot know you by myself, and I can know you only if you allow me to know me. If you allow me to know you, then alone, through your grace, can I know you. And then Sri Krishna bestows grace upon us. So only grace and grace alone. Kripa, kripa, kripa. The only way to know God. We may think that we can, that if God were to appear in front of us and if he were to tell us about himself, that we can know him. We can't. Because when he comes in front of us and we have not attained his grace, we would dismiss him as a worldly person. And if God, then Bhagwan Shri Krishna has come, or Bhagwan Shri Ram has come, both the same. And God says to us, look, I am God. I will tell you all about myself. We would mock him. We would just dismiss him as a charlatan. You're an imposter. You're not God. You're worse than I am. You're so ordinary, or you are very ordinary, or you are a demon, you are demonic. We would pass these judgments. It's only with God's grace that we can recognize God. Okay, what if I read the Vedas and Purans and Gita, Ramayana? By reading these scriptures, I can certainly know God. Again, the scriptures are divine by nature. And when we read them, we have a material mind, and our material mind cannot understand what the scriptures are saying. Sri Maharaji used to say, and I'll say it in Hindi as Maharaji used to say, ये शास्त्र वेद तोता मैना की कहानियां नहीं है कि ऐसे उठाया पढ़ा और समझ लिया. These are not storybooks that you can just pick up and read and understand. The words of the scriptures are divine. And it's only someone with a divine mind and intellect who can understand the scriptures. All right. Then I will look for a guru then. A guru can make me understand the scriptures. That's true. That is true. Acharyavan Purusho hi Veda. The Vedas themselves are saying, you can only know us through an Acharya, through a guru. So I will go out in search of a guru, and the guru will give me the knowledge of scriptures. The guru will put me in touch with God. Good plan. But we cannot find a guru using our own effort. Ab mohi bha bharos Hanumanta binu hari kripa milahi nahi santa. Sant vishuddha milahi puni tehi Ram kripa kari chit vahi jehi. We attain the association of a guru. A guru comes into our lives only through the grace of the Almighty. When we cry out to God to send a guru, when we have a deep desire for a guru, then the guru is made available, and guru is attained only through God's grace. If we go out in search of a guru, we cannot find him. We would dismiss him as a worldly person. We would dismiss him as someone who is very ordinary. We would dismiss him as someone who is very, very bad. So it all comes back to God's grace. It seems there is no other way to know God except through His grace. All right. But what does the grace of God mean? What does it mean? First, attain the grace of God, then you'll know God. What is it meant by the grace of God? We use the word kripa so many times. We use it very often. Radharani kripa karo, bestow grace upon me, O Radharani. Sham Sundar kripa karo, kripa karo. Kripa karo, kripa karo, kripa karo, Radhe. We sing kirtans in which we are asking for Radharani's grace, Shri Krishna's grace. So, what does grace really mean? Does it mean that God will just one day decide, okay, I'm going to give you my grace? And then the cobwebs of confusion and delusion are immediately cleared. And oh my goodness, now I understand everything. I understand the Vedas, I understand the Vedic scriptures. And oh my goodness, I can see Lord Krishna everywhere. Jit dekhu tit shamamayi hai. Because God has suddenly graced me. Is it something that we should just wait for? That, just sit and relax and wait for God's grace to happen? Is that what it means? Ram bharose khai ke raho, khaat par soye. Just relax, take it easy. When God desires to grace you, He will do it, and then you'll know Him. But why hasn't He graced me so far? When is He going to grace me? What does this grace mean? Can I do something to receive His grace? So let's understand what grace is not, first of all. Because we do use the word grace and kripa, we use these words without realizing what they mean. For instance, a lot of times the people I come into contact with, they will say, I want to come to satsang. If they are invited for satsang, they will say, I'll come to satsang, but I can only come with His grace. Or I was not able to make it to satsang. I was not able to make it to your lecture because God did not grace me. So it means that you are waiting for a sign from God. But the fact is, when you are doing something worldly, when you are going to your job, let's say, you're going to your place of work, or you're embarking on some endeavor, you are embarking on a project, you're embarking on a new business, let's say, or you're just conducting your business on a daily basis, you don't wait for grace, do you? You don't wait for a sign from God. Okay, get up now. I'm gracing you, and go to your place of work and go ahead and work for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. God has graced me, so I'm now able to move and go to my place of work. What I mean to say is, we often put the blame on God's grace when we really mean when the blame should be put on our own lack of effort. When my desire is not there, and I do not practice devotion, then I don't say, I'm too lazy, I'm too careless, I don't realize the importance of devotion. It doesn't sound good, does it? So I say to you, God's just not gracing me. I didn't get the grace of God. मेरे ऊपर तो कृपा हुई नहीं. हमारा ऐसा कहाँ सौभाग्य कि मेरे ऊपर कृपा हो भगवान की. I'm not so fortunate to get God's grace. Not like Him. No, He has all the grace of God in the world. He has God's grace, and He is walking very fast on the path of devotion, unlike me, who did not get God's grace. We misuse the word grace. And we say that, God is responsible. So that means that God is responsible for all your actions. Yes, I mean, if God doesn't want it, I cannot do this. But now God says something different in the scriptures. Our scriptures say, God is not the doer. You are yourselves responsible for what you're doing. And our scriptures put forth a few logics in front of us. Sri Maharaji explains it so beautifully. Because he knew all the scriptures, he could put them all together and give us the essence of all the scriptures. His words just would just destroy the confusion, and then we would end up saying, oh, that makes sense. For instance, Sri Maharaji has explained, look, if God was the doer, then God would not say in the scriptures, do this and do this and do this, and don't do that, don't do that. God would not have given you, he would not have given us vidhi and nishedh. Vidhi is a list of do's, and nishedh is a list of don'ts. If God is doing everything for you, then why would he need to say, oh, humans, make sure you never do that. Do not tell lies. Do not hurt anyone. Do not deliberately hurt anyone. Not any creature of my creation. Ma hinsyat sarva bhutani. What was the point of saying this in the Vedas? God would have said, no, there's no instructions for you because I'm doing everything for you. And if God were the doer, then we would always, all of us would be doing the right thing all the time. We would never take wrong decisions in life. We would never do anything wrong. There would be no sinful deeds performed by anyone. Because if he's in charge and he's performing all our actions, then he is sarvagya. He's all-knowing. Yah sarvagya, sarva vidyasya jnanamayan tapaha. The Vedas say he is all-knowing. Sarvagya, all-knowing. And how can the all-knowing one, if he's doing all our works for us, how could he ever do anything wrong? Another thing to ponder, another point to ponder upon is this, that if God is the performer of our actions, then he is very impartial. God is not biased. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priya. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, I treat everyone equally. Everyone is equal in my eyes. So why is it that one person is doing something so wonderful? He's helping people out. He is feeding the hungry on the streets, and his twin brother is forging his name on the check. He is stealing money from others. They're twins, identical twins. One of them is using up all his savings to help the poor and the needy. The other one is stealing others' money. So is it only that God is working only for one of them and not for the other? No. If God is working for one person, if it is true that God is a doer, then he is performing actions for each and every one of us. But each and every one of us is doing something so different. So it cannot be that God is the direct performer of our actions. And if God is the performer of our actions, then there is no such thing as Swarga, Narak. There would be no concept of punishment and reward. Nothing, because he's the performer of our actions. So he would say, relax, I shall do everything for you. But in the Gita, Lord Krishna says, Na datte kasya chit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhu. I do not perform any actions for anyone, not the virtuous actions, neither virtuous nor sinful deeds of an individual. Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu. So God is himself saying in the Bhagavad Gita, I do not perform any actions for anyone. You are yourselves responsible for what you do. So we cannot put the blame on God. We cannot say that, oh, he didn't, grace means that he's doing everything for me. Grace doesn't mean that. God's grace, receiving God's grace does not mean that God is responsible. But we do hear from scriptures themselves that seem to suggest that God is the doer. Sabahi nachavat Rama Gosai, says the Ramayan. Uma daru yoshit ki nai, सब ही नचावत राम गोसाई, होई है सोई जो राम रुचि राखा, को करी तर्क बढ़ावही साखा. It just seems so clear that Tulsidas ji is saying, Sabahi Nachavat Ram Gosai. Bhagwan is making everyone dance to his tune. And Hoi hai soi jo Ram Ruchi Rakha. The will of God will always be done. So what does that mean? Doesn't it mean that, don't these words mean that God is the performer of our actions? No, what it means, what these words mean is, and it's very important to understand this, because a lot of people say, look, it's written there in black and white in the Ramayana. Tulsidas ji is saying this, that God does everything for us. But once again, the words of a saint, Tulsidas ji is a saint, can be understood only by another saint. The words of someone who has a divine mind and divine intellect can only be understood by someone who has divine mind and intellect also. So, khag jane khag hi ke bhakha. As a bird is chirping, what is a bird saying? Only another bird knows. Khag jane khag hi ke bhakha. So, what does Tulsidas ji mean? What he means is, and that has been explained by Sri Maharaj ji, that we perform all our actions using our mind and intellect, man and buddhi. And if we did not have a mind and intellect, as you understand, they're both one and the same. One mind that is performing two different functions. When we are thinking and planning, we call it the mind. And when we are taking decisions, we call it the buddhi or intellect. So God gives us a mind. And the mind that we have right now at present is the same mind that we have had for countless lives. So without that mind, we would not be able to do anything. We could not perform any action without the mind. So God gives us a mind, but he does not dictate to us what we should be doing. But he does not, I should say, he is not responsible for our actions because he does not control us. We're not like puppets on a string. God is not the puppeteer who's making the puppet dance to his tune. We have eternally wanted our freedom to perform the actions of our choice. And we have that freedom. God does tell us what to do and what not to do in the scriptures, but it is ultimately our decision to obey his laws or to completely ignore them or to go against them. We have that freedom of choice. That is called kriyaman karma. Kriyaman karma are the actions which are the most important for us because these are the actions that we have the freedom to perform in present life. The freedom to perform the actions of our choice in the previous life and lives, those actions that we did perform in our previous lives, and we were free to perform them, now they are known as sanchit karma, accumulated actions of previous lives. And some of those actions bear fruit in this life. They're called prarabdha karma. That's called our destiny or bhagya or kismat. But the most important, the most exciting action is the one that we can perform right now, the freedom to perform actions of our choice. And these actions are called kriyaman karma, as you know already. So God tells us what to do, what is good for us, what is bad for us, what will help us, what will hinder our spiritual growth. All that is in the scriptures. And God provides a guru also. But at the end of the day, we have our own mind. And we say, I know what you're saying, but, and we use that one word, but, or however, the thing is, we use such words and we do whatever we please. Sri Maharaji used to say, in front of me, Maharaji would say, in front of me, you people are so good that if someone were to look at you, he would think these are all saints sitting in the sadhana hall. They don't seem to suffer from anger, greed, lust, or pride. None of that. But Sri Maharaji would add, but when you go home after visiting me in the ashram, after being in my association, you go home and then it's a different story altogether. Then you sleep whenever you want, you eat whatever you want. You know the knowledge. Maharaji is saying that we know the knowledge. We know what we should do and what we should not do. But at the end of the day, it's our choice. So God is a performer of our actions in the sense that he gives us the ability to perform actions. He's not the performer of our actions in the sense that he directly rules which actions we should be performing. It's like a river. A river provides water for everyone to drink or to make use of in whatever way. So many people are swimming in the river. Many people are on their boats in the river. Many people are using the river water in other ways, in other recreational ways, or they're washing their clothes with that water. They're drinking that water after it's purified. But there is one man who is jumping into the river to end his life. Now, we cannot say to the river, you are responsible for this. You're responsible for this man's death. The river cannot be held responsible. The river provided water for everyone. Or a policeman is given a gun for self-protection. But what if he turns it on to himself and shoots himself in the head? Would his superiors be in trouble? That you gave him a gun, you should not have. If you had not given him a gun, he would be alive today. No, that doesn't make sense. So God gives us all the ability to think and to decide. He gives us a mind and intellect, but we have not given him the authority to perform our actions. We are not like Kabir Das Ji, who says, Jo kare so hari kare, hot Kabir Kabir. All my actions are the works of God. Because Kabir Das Ji has given the authority to Bhagwan. You please, my Lord, I don't know what I'm doing. You drive the car of my life. And now that car doesn't take any wrong turns. But we have always wanted our freedom, the freedom to do as I please. That aham karomi, I am the doer. Aham karomi, I am the doer. That ego is there. So we have not given the authority to God. So we are responsible for our own actions. At the same time, we need to understand what the grace of God means. When someone receives the grace of God, then his senses, mind, and intellect, they all become divine. We only hear that God is omnipresent, but the recipient of God's grace is able to see God everywhere, all the time, not just sometimes, but all the time. He can see God in every creature, in every living being. His mind has become divine also, so he only thinks divine thoughts. He has no thoughts of anger. Maya has left him. Maya leaves him immediately. When one attains the grace of God, Maya leaves immediately. So now there's no more vices of Maya. There's no anger, no greed, no hatred, no pride, no lust, envy, hypocrisy, none of that. No attachments, nothing. That is what is meant by the grace of God, receiving the grace of God. All the cobwebs of confusion are immediately cleared, and now he has unlimited knowledge at his disposal. He has this knowledge of all the scriptures and all possible knowledge, not because he has read scriptures, but because God has graced him. Now he knows everything. For instance, now an example of that would be the little devotee Dhruv. Bhagwan appeared before him and touched Dhruv's shoulders with his conch. And by doing so, transmitted unlimited knowledge to Dhruv and unlimited happiness, bliss. Now Dhruv is the same as God because he has everything that God has. Janat tumahi hoi jai. Once someone attains you, he becomes just like you, says the Ramayana. So now Dhruv has unlimited knowledge, unlimited bliss. This is what God has. So he becomes like God. And that's why Naradji says, Tasmins tajane bheda bhavat. There is no difference between God and one who has attained God. Everything is the same now. So now the question I will leave you with is this: why have we not attained the grace of God? Does God sell his grace? Does he look for a condition to be fulfilled before he gives his grace? Why has he graced some like Tulsi, Meera, Kabir, Nanak, Tukaram, and countless others, and not us? So what is the reason behind the reality, the fact that we have not received God's grace yet? So I will talk about that. We will take up that question next time we meet. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki jai. And now if you would like to ask questions, you may please raise your hand. And remember, if you don't ask questions, I will ask you questions.
That's good. पूछिए दीदी.
So,
Radhe Radhe
Tara?
Didi.
Radhe Radhe. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So you were just saying we are not graced. That is how we know that we are not in that path, or that's how we will come to know. But I feel unless we are graced, we will not even know what we may not be in this path of trying to understand God. Is it the
Oh,
right?
you're right.
Is it the
Absolutely
right?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. No, we have received countless graces of God. And I'm glad you brought that out. But that final grace, through which we can
Okay.
know him, and that grace. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to we wouldn't be alive without his grace. There
Yeah.
would be nothing. You are absolutely right. Yes, that ultimate grace through which we can know him, that grace is the one that I was referring to.
Okay. Okay. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Purna.
Didi, I have a question. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Radhe Radhe.
Didi, so you mentioned that if we try to seek a guru, maybe the guru will not really appear before us, but then we need to have that yearning somehow, that longing, that wait, and when that yearn exists and it's strong enough, that's when the guru appears. Rightly so, but what if you chance upon the guru somehow, and then you just think about, oh my god, I don't know what I was doing without my guru all this time. So how would you read into that, or how should one interpret that situation?
This person has had a desire for guru in the previous lives as well, and now it seems like, oh, it's by chance. That the fact that guru has appeared in his or her life means that this individual has had that desire for a guru, perhaps not in this life, but in the previous life. And he's eligible to have that guru. Now it will depend on his present actions, whether he holds on to the guru's lotus feet or not. But it is true that a lot of people say to me, well, I wasn't really searching actively for a guru when Maharaji came into my life. That is true, that we're not even aware. But if a person chances upon a guru, it means that he's already so graced that a guru has come into his life. And now what he should do is to use his discretion and learn from the guru and get his questions answered and accept that guru. Have I answered the question? Or
Yeah.
No, yes, you have. Because I mean, that's what I was wondering. When you chance upon a guru, how do you explain that to yourself? So
I
yeah.
think most of the people who have come into Maharajji's satsang will say, I just chanced upon him, many people would say that. Some would say, no, I actively shed tears. I wanted a guru. And others would say, many would say that, no, I wasn't really so desirous. I don't know how much I became so fortunate, so blessed. So it's because of our previous actions. We may not be aware that in the present life, but there was searching, that there was that search that went on in previous life or lives that we're not even aware of.
Thank you. I have one more question actually. How should one differentiate between a blessing and a grace in the spiritual world?
They're both same. Blessing, and unless you define what blessing to you, how are you using that word?
Ashirvad.
हाँ, आशीर्वाद तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है, महाराज जी ने बताया, there's no such thing as आशीर्वाद. So it's really grace. They really mean the same thing. The way we use them is really the same.
Okay,
Means the same thing.
got it. Yeah. Thank you, Devi.
Most welcome. Any more questions? My humble request is, could everybody become visible on your... It really helps a lot to know. Yes, thank you. And if there's no more questions, we can do a little kirtan.
Radhe Radhe Didi, can I ask one?
Of course.
When you're in sadhana and you feel that your pace has now slowed down, but you have experienced different pace before, how do you pull yourself back?
Only one way, by just being careful and realizing that my speed has gone down and I'm not going as fast as I used to. That's the first step, which is good, but that's not enough. And now I realize that I have been careless or I'm being careless. Then you just start taking care and you start doing more and more. The mind is putting up a struggle, then you force the mind. No, you've got to do this. And by not listening to the mind, by realizing the importance of devotional practice, by listening a lot to your guru's words, inspiring words, and actually by just doing sadhana even when the mind doesn't, when you don't feel like doing it, just forcing yourself to do it until you come back to the same. And then of course we go through ups and downs in spiritual life, sometimes because of bad sanskars that come up, and sometimes you shouldn't blame the sanskars, it's our present carelessness. And so whatever it is, we need to just make a lot of effort to get it. It will all depend on the desire. Like, I'm feeling so badly that my speed has gone down and I'm not as careful as I used to be. So if I really, really feel badly about it, I would really, really make an effort to get back. So it all depends with, on understanding the importance of devotion.
Thank you, Didi.
You're
think
most welcome.
one thing you said there was that even if at that minute your mind is not attaching like it did before, or you're not able to cry or connect like you did before, still do it.
That's right. because a lot of people tell me, if I say you have not seen you in satsang for a long time, they'll say, oh, I was just so upset. This and this happened in my life. And I tell them that's the reason you should need to come more to satsang because your mind is upset. Things have gone on in your life and you're really not feeling well. That's all. It's all the more reason to come more and more to satsang.
Thank you, Didi. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Didi, I have a question.
Yes.
So, almost every day I will play the bhajan and play my harmonium. That's my sadhana in the morning. But a lot of time I feel like I have almost all the books from Radha Madhav Dham, and sometime I will read from this book or that book. But every time my mind will ask me, why can't you just follow one book, or there is just some kind of syllabus so that you can move forward? And that never happens. And sometime I'll listen to this pracharak, sometime I'll listen to this pracharak, because I'm in almost all the groups. And every time there are the links coming. So I'm like, what to do? I'm so confused. What do you suggest?
Well, I think all the pracharaks of Maharaji would be saying the same thing. So they're saying the same knowledge, but put in different words. So I think knowledge-wise, there's no dilemma that, oh, should I follow this knowledge? Knowledge-wise, it's the same. But I would say the one that you get the most help from, just go ahead and concentrate on that. Book-wise, all the books of Sri Maharaji are so helpful. But if you feel like it will help you more to stick to one book or one pracharak, then by all means you should do that. Be ananya in that too. That's okay. Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Radhe Radhe Devi. Can I ask?
Sorry.
Can I ask question? Hello?
Yes,
Am I audible?
you are audible. Yes.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
Sorry, I was trying to ask you in the English, Hindi, sorry.
पूछ
Yes.
सकती हैं आप. You can ask if you like.
ओके, तो जब भी हम ज्यादा परेशानी में हो, सिचुएशन बहुत खराब चल रही हो, उस टाइम पे अगर मान लो कि गुस्सा हमें आ रहा है, हमें अंदर से भी पता चल रहा है कि नहीं करना है गुस्सा, या फिर कुछ भी गलत नहीं करना है, कोई रिएक्शन नहीं देना है, फिर भी वो रिएक्शन हो जाता है, गुस्सा हो जाता है, तो उस पे कैसे हम कंट्रोल लाए, भरे बाहर
विवेक.
कुछ खराब चल रहा हो?
हाँ, वो विवेक से वो सोच करके कि क्या मेरा ये रिएक्शन ठीक है या गलत है. तो गलत तो है ही, तो नहीं, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. वो विवेक आता है संत की वाणी को सुन करके और फिर प्रैक्टिस करके. So the question is, when I feel angry or when I feel like upset and I feel like I should not feel this way, what should I do? And that's when we need our vivek or discretion that, this is not right. This is not the right way to feel. This is not the right way to think. But to get to that point, we need to do sadhana on a daily basis. तो हर रोज साधना करनी होगी, यानी कि भगवान के सामने आंसू बहा के कीर्तन भजन के द्वारा रूप ध्यान करना होगा. तो मन में वो दैवी संपत्ति आएगी और मन में वो ज्ञान आना शुरू हो जाएगा जो स्वयं आता है भगवान की कृपा से. तो उससे क्या होता है कि हम अंदर से स्ट्रांग बनते हैं और फिर जब कोई गलत विचार आ जाता है या गलत रिएक्शन आ जाता है तो फिर हम उसको स्टॉप कर सकते हैं. तो ये प्रैक्टिस के ऊपर निर्भर करेगा.
ओके. और जैसे मैंने ये सुना है कि मंत्र हम जोर जोर से नहीं बोल सकते हैं, मंत्र हमें धीरे सिर्फ हमें सुनाई दे ऐसे ही बोलना चाहिए. मेरा ध्यान भटक जाता है उसमें, मैं कंसंट्रेट कर पाती हूँ, तो फिर वो कैसे एक एक कंट्रोल वो कैसे लाया जा सकता है?
मंत्र का विधान नहीं है वैसे कलयुग में. कलयुग केवल नाम आधारा. सो हम कलयुग के जीव हैं, हमारे लिए भगवान ने कहा है कीर्तन भजन का सहारा लो. मंत्र से क्या होता है, मन बोर्ड हो जाता है. और वही एक मंत्र होता है। तो हमारी स्थिति वो नहीं है अभी कि वो मंत्र के द्वारा, और वो भी ऊंचा बोलना नहीं है। और ऊंचा बोलेंगे भी तो वही रेपिटेशन से ना हमारा मन बोर्ड हो जाता है। तो मंत्र का सहारा ना लेके कीर्तन भजन का सहारा लेना है। So the question was that, when I recite a mantra, I'm not supposed to do it very loudly, but then the interest is not there. And the answer was that in Kali Yuga, we should not take the help of mantras. They're very challenging because it's the same mantra. There's repetition, and that makes our mind feel bored. We should take the help of devotional songs and chants, bhajans and kirtans. That helps us much more. Was there someone else who was asking a question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Radha Didi, Anjan here.
Sorry.
Okay,
And also Sandeep Gupta ji.
Okay, go on.
Sorry. राधे राधे दीदी जी, नमस्ते।
Radhe.
आ,
Namaste.
मैंने आज काफी टाइम बाद ज्वाइन किया विकास सर से मेरी टच में। तो मुझे एक क्वेश्चन पूछना था। आई वाज मे साउंड सिली बट एक्चुअली क्या है कि मैं एक्चुअली ऑलमोस्ट 15 to 20 years मैं दुर्गा माँ का 108 नाम लेता हूँ। एंड आई फाइंड इट वेरी पावरफुल। मटेरियल गेन तो ऐसा लगता है कि नाम लेने से काफी होता है, और आई फील पावर। मुझे लगता है कि शी इज वेरी, आई मीन हर नेम इज वेरी पावरफुल, बट वो शांति जो है ना, पीस, ऐसा कि ऑलमोस्ट 20 15 20 साल से मैं करता हूँ। और दिन में कभी मैं ले लेता हूँ, रात में सोने के बाद दिन में दैट 108 नेम आई हैव कंप्लीटली। मुझे पता है 108 नाम। मैं कोई जप नहीं करता हूँ, माला नहीं जपता हूँ, बस मन में नाम लेता हूँ, सोते वक्त, दिन में उठते वक्त, कभी भी बीच में कभी ट्रबल हुआ, कभी मतलब रोज हो ही जाता है, बहुत रेयरली होता है। तो लेकिन वो शांति है वो नहीं आई। लेकिन मैंने फील किया कि मैं अ, कृष्ण का नाम, हरे कृष्णा मंत्र मैंने स्टार्ट किया था काफी टाइम पहले, अभी थोड़ा डिसकंटिन्यू हो गया, फिर माता का ही नाम लेता हूँ। तो उस पर थोड़ी दिमाग थोड़ा शांत लगता है। आई फील लाइक इट गिव्स मी पीस। सो आप क्या सजेस्ट करते हो कि मैं क्या करूँ? शुड आई कंटिन्यू डूइंग इट? एंड आजकल मैं गुरुजी को भी सुनता हूँ, उनके वीडियोस देखता हूँ और समझने की कोशिश करता हूँ। इट्स मुझे थोड़ा टफ लगता है समझने में। जैसे बहुत सारे कंसेप्ट है, जड़ चेतन, पराशक्ति, काफी सारे कंसेप्ट है उसमें। तो मैं समझने की कोशिश करता हूँ, और नॉट एवरी डे, बट कभी कभी रोज भी सुनता हूँ, कभी डिसकंटिन्यू हो जाए, बट आई ट्राई टू लिसन ऑल these वीडियोस। आप क्या सजेस्ट करते हो? आई मीन हाउ आई शुड आई कंटिन्यू व्हाट आई एम डूइंग सिंस मेनी years, और how I should you,
Sandeep,
you know
I'll answer you in English so everybody can
yes sir.
understand.
Yeah, sure.
So, Sandeep,
Thank
what you're doing, you're taking the name of Mother Durga. That's wonderful. And because you have chanted the name of Mother Durga for so long, the reward is you have come into contact with Maharajji's teachings. That is the effect of taking God's name. I think तुमने कहा था, you said you got material gain, right? You said?
मटेरियल गेन भी, और बहुत मैं समझता हूँ कि काफी शक्ति है। मतलब ऐसा ऐसा कभी हुआ, इम्पॉसिबल टास्क ऐसे हुए कि जो बिल्कुल इम्पॉसिबल है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं से मुझे तुरंत उसका ऐसा लगता है समाधान मिल जाता है। वो इतना पावरफुल मुझे लगता है उनका। और
Actually,
बट
every
शांति नहीं है, मतलब ऐसा।
right. समझ गए। एवरी नेम ऑफ गॉड इज इक्वली पावरफुल। ऐसा नहीं है कि दुर्गा माँ का ज्यादा है या श्री कृष्ण का ज्यादा है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। एवरी नेम ऑफ गॉड, बिकॉज एवरी फॉर्म ऑफ गॉड इज एब्सोल्युटली इक्वल, एंड एवरी नेम ऑफ गॉड इज एब्सोल्युटली इक्वल। And when we take the name of God and then we equate it to material gain, there's the two different things. By taking the name of God, we don't get material gain. वो तो जो किस्मत में लिखा है वो मिल जाएगा।
जी
शांति नहीं मिलती, because you need to do more than that. So you need to take, the peace is not there because you're just taking the name, and there's no real connection mentally then with Bhagwan, with Durga Mata, or with God. So what I would suggest is what Maharaj Ji suggests, and that is, although every form of God is absolutely equal, yet Bhagwan Shri Krishna, he reveals his sweetness in a way that he does not reveal in any other form. तो माँ दुर्गा के रूप में जो वो शक्ति तो सभी में है, क्योंकि है तो सभी एक ही भगवान है, अलग अलग रूप है। लेकिन श्री कृष्ण के रूप में उन्होंने अपना सारा जो सभी रस जो है प्रदान कर दिया। तो उनकी लीलाएं भी बहुत हैं। तो अब उनका रूप ध्यान करना होगा, केवल नाम लेने से काम नहीं बनेगा। उनका रूप ध्यान करना होगा। श्री कृष्ण का ध्यान करो। और राधा कौन है? राधा की के बाएं भाग से, शरीर के बाएं भाग से महालक्ष्मी का प्राकट्य होता है। दुर्गा माता इत्यादि जो भगवान की भगवती हैं, अलग अलग रूप हैं, वो सब वेदों शास्त्रों में कहा कि वो सब राधा रानी की अंश हैं। तो कोई अंतर नहीं, वो अंश हैं, वो अंशी हैं राधा रानी। तो जब राधा कृष्ण का नाम लोगे, उनका रूप ध्यान करोगे, तब वो शांति से भी शांति मिलेगी, और शांति से भी परे परम सुख की अनुभूति होगी। पर उसके लिए मन को लाना पड़ेगा। you'll have to chant not only the name of God, but also you have to mainly do the roop dhyan, that you will do the you will think about the pastimes and leelas of Bhagwan Sri Radha Krishna. That will really help you a lot. And as far as you're starting off with Maharaji, I would suggest you keep on listening to my talks, because what I'm trying to do in these talks that happen every Thursday is to take you step by step in Maharaji's philosophy. ये हमारी इंट्रोडक्टरी टॉक्स है, और इनका लिंक बहुत जबरदस्त है। मतलब अपने शुरू किया मानव देह के महत्व से, और अंत में जाएगा भगवान कैसे मिलेंगे। सो इट्स अ वेरी पावरफुल लिंक। तो इसको सुनते जाओ तुम, और फिर
मैं कौन, मेरा कौन, वो मैं सुन रहा हूँ, मैं कौन,
वो तो बहुत अच्छा है। हाँ,
हाँ वो।
दैट्स गुड। एंड ये जो प्रवचन है, ये भी महाराज जी की बेसिक फिलॉसफी है, और इसमें जो क्रम है बहुत जबरदस्त है। तो ये भी सुनते जाओ, क्योंकि पढ़ना तो एक बात है, लेकिन एक सुनना और कोई समझा रहा है आपको, वो अलग बात हो जाती है।
Okay, and
यस,
I should keep chanting Ma Durga Naam as well, right? Like I doing since many years.
well, it's not महाराज जी। मैं बताती हूँ जो महाराज जी कहते तुमसे। अगर महाराज जी से पूछ रहे होते तो वो कहते, संदीप वो गलत नहीं है, पर इतना ठीक भी नहीं है। क्योंकि ठीक तो है ही है, क्योंकि माँ दुर्गा है, दुर्गा मैया है। लेकिन जब ये पता चल जाए कि राधा कृष्ण में, उनके दुर्गा माता के राधा कृष्ण वाले रूप की भक्ति करोगे, अनन्य बनोगे, तो उसमें रस बहुत सारा मिलेगा। तो लेकिन जब तक कंफर्टेबल नहीं फील करते, आई थिंक यू शुड डू बोथ।
Yeah.
और जब और समझ में आ जाएगा, और एक्सपीरियंस हो जाएगा, रियलाइजेशन होगी, फिर ऐसा होगा कि अरे वो सभी एक हैं। और अल्टीमेटली ऐसा हो जाएगा कि वो तुम एक में ही चले जाओगे, राधा कृष्ण में चले जाओगे, क्योंकि रस उन्हीं के रूप से मिलता है। क्योंकि देखो, दुर्गा माता की उनकी लीलाएं नहीं होती, और उनका ऐश्वर्य वाला रूप है। और हमारे what we want is something, we want to love God in every possible way, and for that the form of Radha Krishna cannot be beat. So eventually, but I think at this point it would disturb you not to take the name of Durga, Mother Durga. So you should take it, and because of Durga Maya's grace, you have reached this far, that you have learned about such a great personality, Jagat Guru Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj.
Yeah. Thank you. Radhe Radhe.
You're most welcome, Radhe Radhe.
Didn't you say कि we meet every Thursday? I think we meet every other Thursday.
No, I said every other Thursday, yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And I think Anjan had a question.
Didi, I will keep my question till next time. It's
Okay.
over. Yeah, Radha.
All right, everyone. So I will take your leave, and we shall meet in 2 Thursdays. बोलिए लाडली लाल की जय, श्रीमद सतगुरु सरकार की जय, जय श्री श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे।
राधे राधे दीदी जी।
राधे 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 दीदी जी।
राधे
राधे राधे।
राधे।